Thank you all for coming. I'd like to start with a reading from my cousin Yola, my mom's niece. She lives in Bristol, England. She very much wanted to be here today, but was unable on very short notice to arrange an overseas visit. But she is very much with us in spirit. It's called My Auntie Diana, or Di as I call her. I am Yola, Diana's niece, her older sister Sheila's daughter. Di, as I always called her, was a marvelous aunt to me, the best I could have had. When she and her family left England for America, they continued to visit. We so much looked forward to those visits. Di and Robert made me feel so welcome on my trips to Albuquerque. I always loved being with her. My mom died too young in 1991, age 64. One visit to the hospital, Mom asked Di to look after me. She could not have done more to fulfill that request. Always supportive to me, being in contact, showing interest in my kids, and discussing various worries that I had about them over the years, just like a mother would do. I think of her as a surrogate mom, and she's been by far my closest relative outside my immediate family. She's been wonderful, unfailingly kind and caring towards me. Every time I rang and she answered, she sounded so pleased to hear from me and made me feel so glad I called. At the end of every call, I would ask her to say the blessing to me. It's from Numbers 6:24. I thought it would be a good ending to what I wanted to say. Dear Di, may the Lord bless and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Love, Yola. Someone once said that most the people that are the most special to us are hardest to lose, but easiest to eulogize. That's my mom. She delighted in the old joke about the minister who presides over a funeral where he didn't know the decedent and he opens up the congregation for people to share their beloved memories of this man. Not a single person has a single nice thing to say about this decedent, and after 2 minutes of silence he says, "Come, my brothers and sisters, somebody has to say something nice about this poor man." And a man in the back says, "His brother was even worse." So I guess my mom was sort of the opposite of that. So, now I once asked myself the question, what's a respectful thing you can say to somebody who's lost somebody close? And simply ask them the question, what are the coolest things that were said at her eulogy? So I've got a few things, and try to keep them brief. I know you have places to go, but I got some bulleted points. Growing up, she would read me bedtime stories. They're Greek mythology, Norse mythology, the Diary of Anne Frank, The Merchant of Venice. I still remember Shylock. She took me to the play afterward, took me to a lot of plays. She got me interested in all music, specifically opera. When I was 11, she took me to Rigoletto. That was the first opera I ever saw, and later Madame Butterfly. She told me later she hated that one because it was so tragic, and I loved it. It was powerful. And we went to Santa Fe Opera together more times than I could count. She never liked musicals. She was saying it's somehow incongruous, that you're saying something serious, like you're telling somebody, this is a serious business, and then you suddenly break into a song, "A simple smile will make your life worthwhile." She parodied this musical, and her parody just had me in stitches laughing. And actually, she wasn't quite consistent. She got me interested in Gilbert and Sullivan. That's kind of the 19th century equivalent of a musical. So we went to all of them, the big three, Pirates of Penzance, Pinafore, Mikado. One particular one, Rudigor, is very dear to my heart because there's a scene in which one of the crazy characters, Mad Margaret, says to her husband, "Let's agree on a code word. If you say Basingstoke, that's the name of a city in England, that will remind me to calm down and stop being so postal and, homicidal or whatever. So Basingstoke is this safe word." And so that would be my mom's nickname because she had a calming effect. And we even visited Basingstoke together. It was kind of a mecca for us. We had a slide of that. And got me interested in running. She would take my pick up my brother after school, run around the track. She took me on my first 4-mile run, which I hated, but eventually I got completely hooked on it. When I moved to McKinney, Texas for my job, my mom and I took what would be some of my most cherished moments of my life, road trips together. I did my first marathon in Oklahoma City. I drove from Dallas to Oklahoma, and then she flew to Oklahoma City and met me there, watched me finish, and we drove back together from there. And actually, she made fun of me because I was like limping. My muscles were so sore, but that was funny how she laughed at me, you know. And came to almost every one of my running races and triathlons, many of them overseas. Whenever I had a singing solo, she would come hear me. The people at a nursing home that I sung at absolutely fell in love with her. Once when I was setting up my karaoke equipment in the El Paso Marathon, I was going to be one of the entertainers along the course, and I asked my mom to stand there just so I could point my camera in the right direction. She walked right up to the camera and said, "You're a very clever person. I'm very proud of you." I have a backup copy of that video in several places. And during the filming of myself to posterity, she would sometimes walk into the camera, and that meant so much more than filming me in retrospect. And sometimes we'd take trips of her choice. She wanted to go to Washington, D.C. for a Welsh festival called a Gaman Bagane. It was in Alexandria, Virginia. That was great. And once she wanted to visit her hometown, her childhood home in Llanrhaid, Wales, and I was on the next plane with her. That was wonderful. Being home was an opportunity to spend time together too, and had many such opportunities over the last few years. Sometimes I would train on my stationary bike, and I'd watch a video like 24, and she'd sit on the bed and watch it. She even once imitated that annoying ticking of that clock, beep, 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 at the end of every commercial break. And there's a few funny stories. I shared with her once a line from Die Hard 2 where the commandos arrive at the hostiles base and he says, "Sir, it's a booby trap. It looks like C4 and the so-and-so is armed." The actual noun was an unthinkable profanity. And she thought this was the funniest line she ever heard. And it was our favorite mutual movie line together. And she once said to me tongue-in-cheek that my name should be spelled P-T-O-M. That would make it exotic. The P is silent, so I'd be like Ptolemy or Ptarmigan. She sometimes would call me Patam, just as a joke. Other people did too. And there was this fractured fairy tale cartoon where they said that allegedly in the olden days, a dustpan is called a gride, hence the spoonerism, a gride and a broom. And the name stuck. My mom would refer to it as a gride. That was another one of our private little jokes. Mostly, she was my source of support growing up and during my career changes in life, and she loved her kids. I remember once when she and my brother had to do this really annoying task that wasted most of the day, and it involved like 50 miles of unnecessary driving. During the trip, she said to my brother, "I'm so glad to be with you." And I remember my brother remarking that made the whole thing great. And every one of the trips she came to see me were special. She'd fly into love field. She would glow when she saw me. Sometimes she'd open up her mouth she was beaming, and her eyes would light up when she saw me. And when I was with her at the viewing yesterday, I had this strange mixture of beliefs, grief that she's gone, but actually a joy to be in her presence. Now in closing, several friends, devoted people of faith, have told me she's in a better place. I respectfully disagree. Although I have no question she qualifies for heaven, I think this place on earth is a better place, being with her kids. I know she is somewhere beautiful. In my seminary, they refer to it by many names. Heaven, the great mysterious, the Elysian fields, whatever they call it. I hope she can watch over us and that we make her proud. And I know that she will forever love her kids and we will forever love her. God bless Mom.